Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, bahasham, quadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, who teach us truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim and yahawah are turning in and learning this. To you, I say shalom. And to Yakim that's out there on the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barak the yahawah, barak the yahawashi, bahasham, quadash, barak atham. So, pretty much been checking out things in between. It's getting a little bit harder, the place I'm staying at, because of course that has changed a bit, and well, they have kids, so you can't have the computer nearby because they'll put their hands on the keyboards, yada yada yada. They don't believe, and so getting a little bit harder where I'm at. So pray that I get this next place. If I do, it ain't too far for where I'm at, you know, and just hoping that I get this next place, man, because it really sucks not being able to do what I like to do. You know, there's a lot of things I'd like to be doing, but I can't really do that because I'm not at liberty to, and it's just been hell, you know. But these are just trials that you have to go through. You have to go through the fiery troubles to get to where you need to be. Nonetheless, though, in order to keep on reiterating this truth, you need a steady place, you know, where you can actually do videos, you know. As the place I'm staying at is obviously on the other side of town, so you know, getting to the storage unit, not always able to do that, and when it's only 1 degree Celsius outside, well, that's pretty cold. But I still do videos anyways, despite all that, you know, and I try to get them out there, you know, and more than just doing the minimum, you know. But really hope that my living arrangements can change soon, so I can just continue what I'm doing. If so, you know, either way, though, we know that Vocab Malone is who he is. We've known that for some time. We always knew he was an agent, and we know that they're twisting this, you know. They're twisting the words that we say because, of course, that's what Amalek, because we know that he's also of the tribe of Amalek, because you do a background search on him, he ends up being one of those Ashkenazi Jews, and no wonder why he comes against us, because we're proclaiming our heritage. You know, he just won't tell you that he's Amalek. He'll just come in the guise of stretched Christianity, you know, and trying to disprove us. Nonetheless, though, you know, he wants to equate us to Muslim terrorists, compare us to the Muslim Brotherhood, you know, because that's what these goddamn fucking Amalekites always do anyways. You know, try to compare us to Islam, even though they set up the Islamic State in Syria, and that's another thing. A lot of looting going on in Syria. A lot of looting's been going on here too, you know. They stole from us. They took our land. You know, this was the land of Gad. You know, so this belonged to the Israelites, and then they went and made it their own. They claim that they have it, and so like everything else, though, you know, pretty much though, we're just in the midst of everything as we're starting to see this evil empire crumble. And that's a good thing to see because of the fact that got something else popping up. Anyhow, yeah, that's the devil for you. You know, even if you're not online, you're online. You know, one way or another, you know, they're watching your every move. Because I can prove to that, because I was just watching something on my computer. I wasn't even watching it online. It was a file I already had. The computer starts screwing up. Go play something else from Netflix or Hulu, plays just fine. So they're messing with that more, just like the FBI agent calling on the men of valor, who's still courageous, still goes out there and teaches, despite everything, you know. You have to be courageous in this. You know, you show your faith by going forth and teaching this truth, you know. And like everything else, though, you know, it's going to get a lot harder, but we're not to fear man, but we're here to fear the Most High. You know, but sometimes you get yourself in situations where it's like, well, should I really stay where I'm at if you're just one? I mean, when two or more are gathered, yahawashi be in the midst of us. When you're a one-man camp, yes, he's with you, but at the same time, though, you know, you're just like, well, I can finish the lesson over here, you know. These Edomites, man, you know, they're through. They know that, you know. They know that they've been through for some time. They can't even make their lives. So it doesn't look like Donald Trump is going to be impeached. But I really wasn't watching those trials. Because they're a bunch of horse shit anyways. It was just distraction because they're planning to make their moves against Iran. And against Syria. Because the Syrian Arab army, make no mistake about it, as they're recapturing places now that they are officially blocking them from entering Turkey, smuggling the oil from the U.S. over to Turkey, from the occupied oil fields, Syria will put a stop to this, and they have Russia backing them. So they're looking for a false flag to blame Assad for it, even though it's been proven that the Duma chemical attack never happened, that the whole thing was staged, and that's why that A24 video never went out on Italian TV. I believe it's A24. Nonetheless, though, the interview was never put out there because they didn't want people to see it, because the reporter actually agreed with Bashar al-Assad. Everybody knows that the news is fake, that they use fake news just like they faked the news about the stabbing or the, the shooting. Almost all shootings are faked, It's nothing but fake news. People call it out for what it is, and of course, by the time you try, this was proven to be, the video won't play, just like yesterday. Video won't play, not playable. So, that it's already past December 10 anyway, so we knew all this was coming, though. But we're still getting the truth, nonetheless, though. We know that things are going to get a lot more hot. But we're still going to go out and teach anyways, because this word is hurting Esau, and we know that he's at the end of everything, and it's fun to see the fall of his empire, because it has been a wicked empire. So they're scrambling, not knowing what to do, but they're coming down and they're attacking. So pretty much Esau's about to go full throttle, as we've been going full throttle. So that makes us want to engage more, because you die as a martyr in this thing, you're the first risen up anyways, so why not just go out there anyways, It's why we go out there and teach. So anyhow, and take a look at some things and come back with some scriptures.
Russia has started creating a local force that will operate in northeastern Syria in areas abandoned by the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, several Syrian media outlets claim. According to reports, the Russian military will train and equip a new pro-government militia in the province of Al-Hasaka. This militia will be deployed at former positions of the SDF, which have not been taken by the Syrian army. Since the start of the Russian military operation in Syria, Moscow has trained and equipped several pro-government factions that have successfully operated in the provinces of Aleppo, Homs, Dara, and near Damascus. The Russian military also helped create the 5th Assault Corps of the Syrian army. The Al-Hasaka-based militia will likely be used as a part of the wider plan to de-escalate the situation on the border with Turkey. A team of experts from Saudi Arabia's oil giant Aramco has reportedly visited and inspected the Al Omar oil fields in southeastern Deir ez-Zor. Local sources suggest that the U.S.-led coalition is going to involve experts and entities linked to the Saudi company in an attempt to expand the scale of its oil smuggling business. In November, the Syrian military carried out a series of strikes on oil smuggling facilities near the Turkish-occupied city of Jarablus in northern Aleppo. Back then, sources in Damascus warned that these strikes were only the first step in a campaign to put an end to the smuggling of the Syrian oil by foreign forces. More and more data contradicting the mainstream narrative blaming the Assad government for the April 7, 2018 Duma incident became available to the public. On December 14th, WikiLeaks released another batch of documents that reveal mass dissent within the OPCW's experts over the formal decision to lay blame for the supposed chemical attack on Assad. The leaked data includes a memo stating that 20 inspectors think that the officially released version of the OPCW's report on Duma did not reflect the views of the team members that were deployed to Syria. Another revelation is that the OPCW possessed scientifically credible evidence showing that the victims of the alleged attack had symptoms not consistent with chemical gas exposure. These documents became the latest in a series of dissent memos and documents destroying the Assad chemical weapons narrative. The previously released evidence revealed that the OPCW had doctored the Duma report and had manipulated the collected evidence. It should be recalled that the United States, the United Kingdom, and France carried out a joint missile strike on Syria in 2018, justifying the move by claims that it was a needed response to the supposed Assad chemical weapon attack in the Duma.
Shalom, giving all praise to the Heavenly Father, yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, bahasham, rawcha, quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutation as always to the elect. And I wanted to address a few things surrounding this case, because actual pictures of the victims, all right, of this shooting have been put on the internet. So there's a few questions that have to be asked. Now, as you can see, this is Agent Riser, Vocab Malone. The title of this video, as you can see, Black Hebrew Israelite, the hashtag, and what do you see? Anti-Semitic. Okay, so you have Hebrew Israelites murder Jews in Jersey City. Okay, so this was breaking news. Everybody jumped on it, and in the narrative surrounding it is you have what they call Black Hebrew Israelites that are going, all right, around the world causing harm and inflicting, both physical, mental, and all sorts of stress and pain, and even shooting Jews. All right, and as you can see, the anti-Semitic is the angle that they're going now. For those of you who are new to the faith and may not know, when they are saying anti-Semitic, what they are saying is anti-Shemitic, because in the Bible, Noah had 3 sons. All right, this is Genesis 5:32, and Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, this name Shem, ultimately it means name. Okay, how we say bahasham, in the name of yahawashi. That name Shem just simply means name. Okay, and there you go, Shem. Okay, now the understanding on this is that eventually the chosen line would come out of Shem. Okay, that's why Shem is also called the father of the children of Eber. See if we can find out. And here's another one, a good one. This is Genesis 9:26. And he said, "Blessed be Yahawah, the God of Shem." You see that? He was also known as the God of Shem because out of Shem eventually came the chosen people, in which that name, all right, would be passed down through. If you read the Bible, you can find a narrative at the time of Genesis, the 4th chapter. Let's get that real quick. And I'll get to what I'm aiming at in just a minute. Now, this is Genesis 4:26. I'll just get to the point. And I'll get to 25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God, she said, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel. This is where the chosen line would eventually come through, who Cain slew. So Abel was slew by Cain. So the Lord raised up Seth. Okay. And to Seth, to him there was born a son, and his name was called Enos. All right. Then men began to call upon the name of Yahawah. All right. Because the name of the Lord, all right, would be placed upon this particular line. Okay. So on down the line, at the time that the earth was flooded, it was repopulated through Noah, all right, and his 3 sons and 4 women. All right, and Noah's 3 sons are Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, and as you read down, there you go, bam. Genesis 10:21. It says, unto Shem also the father of the children of Eber. Okay, because after the Tower of Babel, in which the languages were confounded, all right, the language of the past, the original Hebrew language was not confounded. It was continued through, all right, Eber's family line, all right, his father and on down. And Eber actually is where you get the word Hebrew. Okay, just giving you a little history real quick. All right, Eber, Ibar, okay. The region beyond. All right, let's get the root word. Ibar, region beyond, across or beyond. All right, so the language of the East, the language of that region, all right, passed over and was not confounded, all right, through a family line which was faithful, all right, and Eber happened to be, all right, within that family line. So that language was continued, all right, through this chosen line. All right, the children of Eber, the children of the Hebrews, all right, would ultimately come through Shem. Okay, now the question is, because as you go unto Shem, Shem had children. Okay, so when they're saying anti-Shemitic, okay, they're saying you're anti the chosen people. Now, out of Shem came many nations. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the genealogy of Shem. All right, you have he had 5 sons. Okay, now he had Elam, Ashur, okay, Lud, Aram, okay, and Arphaxad. Now, Arphaxad would be, all right, the line in which the chosen would eventually come through. All right, all the way to Abraham. Now, as you can see, Arphaxad, all right, Shelah, okay, which was the father of Eber, and then you see Eber, okay, the Hebrew language, the name was eventually passed down, all right, through this particular nation. But as you can see, Shem had, all right, 5 sons, all right, and as you go down, all right, it goes all the way, Peleg, Reu, Sherug, Nahor, Terah, all right, and then boom, you have Abraham. But Terah had Nahor, Abraham, and Haran. All right, these are all particular nations. And Abraham had children, and Ishmael, all right, was one of the children. Okay, he had 8 children. All right, and Ishmael was one of them. Now, as you can see, Shem has, out of Shem came, many nations. So when they're saying anti-Shemitic, what exactly are they talking about? Okay, well, ultimately, through Shem, eventually came Abraham, then you had Isaac, then they're saying that they're the Israelites, right? Now, so as you can see, there is more than one nation that comes out of Shem. Now, they yell this anti-Semitism thing, okay? But as you can see, when you look here, the children of Ishmael, which are the Arabs, okay, they come from Shem. They would be considered a Shemitic, all right, race or nation of people. Now, they aren't the chosen line that came out of Shem, okay, but they came out of Shem. The Elamites, which are the so-called East Indians, okay, they're Shemitic, if you want to speak. But why isn't the war that's going on over in Israel or in Jerusalem, or what they say is between the Palestinians and the so-called Jews, why isn't that considered anti-Semitism? Because ultimately we live in a system of Edomite supremacy, but we'll address that here in just a minute. The title of this video is Hebrew Israelite, all right, murder Jews. So they're using a biblical nationality to describe the people who were murdered. Okay, so let's go here and let's take a look at the victims. Okay, and we have to ask ourselves, what nation were these victims who were killed? Okay, because as you see, as you're going to see, only one so-called Jew was killed in this attack.
Available to them that they bypassed to attack that place. So it was clearly that was their target, and they intended to harm people inside.
Police say the 2 gunned down the owner, Mindy Ferenz, a mother of 5.
Is that a Jew?
An employee, Douglas Rodriguez, and a customer, Moishe Deutsch.
Okay. So the narrative is anti-Semitism. The narrative is that Jews were killed. So the question comes, why aren't these people nationality revealed? If this is a Jew, well, what nation are the other 2 victims? This is a Jew, right? And the target was what they say, Jewish people. Well, what nation were these people? According to the Bible, since these are the Jews and it's set in stone, and because if you didn't see these pictures, this title and the way that people are painting this whole picture is that Hebrew Israelite murdered Jews in Jersey City. Well, are these Jews? Are these Jews as well? Please help me to understand this. As he's talking in this video, the whole thing is about Jews being attacked, Jews being killed, Jews being persecuted, right? Well, what nation of people are these, and why aren't they represented? Why isn't their cause? What is this anti anything? Do these biblical do these two nations have biblical nationalities? Let's see if that's ever addressed. All right, now, as a result of this so-called persecution and whatever the hell happened, you got a guy, because they say also an officer was killed. All right, they haven't showed the picture of the officer, but supposedly an officer was killed. And we understand that we do not promote any carnal violence. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, so we have nothing to do with this. I mean, a guy has his fringes on shooting, all right, and leaves behind a manifesto, all right, and all of these so-called terrorists just leave behind letters telling you why they did what they did, but they're not alive to give you any feedback on what happened. And then there was a letter left behind that at first they couldn't understand, and then it was a whole manifesto later on. All right, then they showed you a light-skinned couple at one point, and then it became two dark-skinned people. So the story is all over the place. We believe it's a false flag, but as a result of this, you have Jews now saying that they're going to throw axes, all right, at people in self-defense. Now, is this terror? And why is everyone else able to stand up for their self and fight their cause? All right, but we call ourselves Israelites, calling you out for the wickedness that has been done to our nation, all right, for years. All right, and for that, we're called wicked. Anyone else, there's anti-Semitism. Well, what is, our people getting shot down in the streets? All right, Trump's whole, thing against the so-called Mexican. All of the things that have happened to our people. What nation is that anti? Or is that even, or does it even matter in the grand scheme of things? Now, they say that they're going to resort to, defending themselves with axes, meaning if you are a so-called Negro or you're walking up the street and they feel threatened, they can just throw a damn axe at you. All right. And they're not going to be called terrorists for even saying this, And there's some more information I wanted to go into as well, but this article is from New York Post. It says these Jews have an axe grind after the New Jersey City shooting. Okay, and after all of the wickedness they've done, all throughout the planet Earth, it's something. Anyway, it says, and they'll learn how to do it at a synagogue self-defense class. Okay, it says Rabbi Cincy, all right, Gary Moskowitz, all right, that's a so-called Jewish name, a former NYPD officer and martial art expert, is hosting an axe-throwing counterterrorism class in Williamsburg on Monday. All right, and say Hasidic Jews have been clamoring to sign up in wake of the kosher market massacre that left 4 people, including a cop, dead. Okay. All right. Now, the way that it's all being painted, that these are 4 Jews who were killed, but clearly, as we look at the pictures, all right, you have what appears to be maybe a so-called Negro or so-called Puerto Rican woman. This is a so-called Mexican. And then you have this guy, a so-called Jew. But it's all being painted in the news that only Jews were killed. All right. Now, these so-called Jews are now saying they're going to defend themselves with axes. So you could just be walking up the street, all right, and these so-called, because there's already tension over in Jersey City behind these so-called Jews going over there and basically buying out all of the, enforcing the so-called Negroes and poor people out of their homes, harassing them. So there's friction between so-called Negroes, all right, and the poor of those cities in Jersey City and so-called Jews over them, pretty much gentrification in a nutshell, gentrification. The so-called Negroes are being forced out of their homes, and these people are buying up everything, all right, and there's friction. So they can now say, well, because of this terrorist act, we're going to defend ourselves with swords and bows. So you could just be walking up the street and this guy can openly say, I'm going to throw a damn axe at you because he feels threatened. All right. And it should just land, dead set in your back And, you know, and you got Edomites on the news saying they're going to take up arms if Trump gets, taken out of office. You know, they're going to, and they're never called terrorists. Okay, all of the terror that these people have done. And there's another thing I want to address with these so-called Jews. I just wanted to address some of this stuff real quick. It says this is the quickest way for Jewish people to have a chance to migrate, to mitigate terror and murder. At least they'll have a fighting chance. Moskowitz, also the president of American Jewish Secret Council, told the Post. Civilians need training. No one can help, all right, you but yourself. You need a zero response time, meaning you see a so-called Negro, you feel threatened, bam, just throw a goddamn axe at him. The 7-degree black belt says the Orthodox Jewish community feels under siege amid a spike in anti-Semitic hate crimes. Okay, this year, and claim their best defense is to literally bury the hatchet by throwing a goddamn axe at your ass. You can read the rest of the article. All right, we have to know how to fight back. Yada, yada, yada. If you are training with objects that can be considered illegal with the intent to harm, all right, and are not readily accessible, such as spears, axes, mallets, then you will be at a loss to defend. The idea someone carrying a mallet, spear, or axe, all right, is impractical. Now, let's say, amid all that has happened to the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American here in America, that we decided that we're going to have something like this and take axes. The damn school would be raided. The New York Post would be demonizing it. But somehow they're going to have the go-ahead to organize and do this. Now, whatever, it is what it is. These hypocrites are going to lose, man, because they're trying to play the victim and they're trying to paint a narrative. All right, that's just not true. All right, now there may be some friction between them and particular people, but you have to understand the past of this people, man, and what they do around the planet Earth, man. This is Job 20:4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. All right, and this is what's happening, man. His joy is getting ready to be dried up, and he's at the very end of his kingdom. So they're going to scratch, bite, pinch, try to gouge out eyes. They're going to low blow. They're going to do everything in their power to keep this kingdom going, man. Lie, and it's not going to be fair. Okay, and they have the media behind them to paint the narrative. Okay, and they have the minds of billions of people. So most people are going to follow the narrative that they paint. All right, and ultimately it will be justified that and legal to go out and kill, all right, Israelites. It's pretty much already legal, but it's going to be on a whole nother level. Now, Lord willing, the elect, the brothers, the Lord is going to protect us, man, during that time. All right, so we don't have to worry. All we can do is just, enjoy the ride, man, and keep offering up the right sacrifice so we can be accepted. It says, though his excellency mount up to the heavens and his head reach into the clouds, okay, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Okay, and this is ultimately what's happening, man. Okay, they're starting to get taken, all right, by biblical prophecy is on their ass. Now, I wanted to address this as well. This is a article that was sent to me. Now, this was posted in January 3rd, 2016, and we're going to talk about some true terrorism here today. As you can see here, Palestinian genocide. All right, 5.1 million Palestinians have been killed since 1948. You see that? Now, before 1948, that was the land of the so-called Palestinians, which are Elamites and Ishmaelites. Okay, and there's been war back and forth between the so-called Jew and the Palestinians since 1948, which is a clear indicator that there would be no more, which is a clear indicator that they're not the Jews, because according to Micah, the 4th chapter, once the true Jews return to that land, okay, and the true government, the kingdom of heaven was set up, the throne of David, under who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, there will be no more war. The nations will have to learn the ways of righteousness, the heathen, because no Israelite will have to be taught. Okay, and then as you read down, you can read this, Micah 4. All right, and I'll just start at 1. It says, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahawah shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. That's the government. All right. It says, and many nations shall come. All right. And the government will be under yahawashi, man, the priesthood. All right. The government shall be on his shoulders, man, the 144,000. Okay. The precious stones. All right. It says, and many nations, all right, shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahawah and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways. All right. The so-called Jew is not teaching the world the ways of righteousness. Okay. Let's not forget they own Hollywood. Okay. Where's the story of the Maccabees? Where's the big hit of King Solomon's, 40 years of peace? Why aren't the biblical movies being made? And when they are made, they're tacky as hell. I mean, you had the Passion of Christ. All right. Which was a decent movie. All right, but again, you got Edomites playing the role. It wasn't like Ice Cube say, not a crack in sight. It wasn't a Jake in sight. Okay, everybody's so-called white. All right, if I can remember the movie right, but you don't have any biblical stories. Purim. Okay, how Haman was caught in his own devices. None of these stories are big hits in the movie theater, but the Jews are in power, the true Jews. Now, if the true Jews were in power, okay, everything will be centered around the Israelites. There would not be, all right, a Muslim Islamic mosque over in Jerusalem, first off, okay, and there would not be sin promoted via Hollywood, via the music entertainment system and all of the various things that they own. They would be all promoting the righteous ways of the Bible, and they would uplift the true Jews of the Bible. Okay. But they're walking around the world with two ponytails on the side of their head saying that they're the Jews, and it doesn't add up according to prophecy. Okay. But as I keep reading down, okay, and many nations shall come and say, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the government, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, showing you that no heathen will take part in the new covenant, because they wouldn't have to be taught if they were a part of the new covenant. Okay. And we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahawah from Jerusalem. Okay. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong natures afar off. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Okay, now in 1948, as I brought out, when this whole state of Israel was established, okay, which the next time the true Jews return to that land will be the kingdom of heaven, and it will be utter peace. Okay, there wouldn't be any war. In 1948, the night of 1948, Israel was bombed. Okay, so look this up. Okay, Israel-Arab War, 1948. Okay. Let's see here. It's by Egypt, because there was many other. Let's see. Okay, so let's read this. This day in Jewish history, 1948. Cairo bomb blast 22 Jews. Okay, the explosion was a part of wave attacks that prompted Jewish immigration from Egypt. All right, because they were coming and taking the land over, so they were getting bombed. Okay, because they took it by unrighteous decree. All right, as the scriptures say, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees. And through a Balfour Declaration, all right, in 1948. They just basically took over. Now, before 1948, you also had so-called Jews returning to this land in which you know as the first and second Aliyah, I believe. You can look that up as well. But 1948, here it is, the night that, they established the state of Israel. 22 Jews die. Now, how does that make sense according to prophecy? All right, being that the true people of the Lord in prophecy would have utter peace in the land once they got there. Okay? Once they were set up there. No, there would be no more war. That doesn't make sense. Okay, but going back to this article, 5.1 million Palestinians have been killed since 1948. Now, is this terrorism? Or should this just be undermined? That's how you know this is all about Edomite supremacy. This is Palestinian loss of land 1946 through 2010. Okay, Palestinian land in the green. Okay, 1946. Okay, 1 year later, it's all controlled pretty much by Israel, by the Edomites. Okay, in 1967, Palestinians lost more land. All right, 2010, they lost more land. And so there's friction and war over in this area because they are taking the land. Okay, which takes us to Micah, the 2nd chapter. And the first verse, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Okay? And that's what they've done. Okay? And as you read down, it says, therefore thus saith Yahawah, behold, against this family, against this particular family, who are the Edomites, do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. So the Lord is going to bring severe hell, all right, to you heathen. Okay, it says, in that day shall one take up a parable against you and lament with a doleful lamentation and say, we be utterly spoiled. He have changed the portion of my people. How have he removed it from me? Turning away, he have divided our fields. And this is what those Palestinians, all right, are over there yelling. All right, now the fields don't technically belong to them, but, you know, by law, you know, within this world, which this is the, you know, the heathen would have their time. This is all the heathen's world. You know, as the scripture, what did the yahawashi say? If this were my world, then would my servants fight. This kingdom is not ours. All right, we will not fight until yahawashi returns and gives us that power, man. Okay, that's when we will execute judgment. You have to be sovereign before you can execute judgment according to the law. Okay, and we're not sovereign. Okay, the last time we were sovereign as a nation was under King David and Solomon. Okay, in which the Israelites were the top nation on the planet Earth, man. Okay, but that's going to happen again under who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. But as you can see, they've utterly taken the fields, all right, of these other heathen, showing you that the heathen are over there. All right, so against this family, do I devise an evil, and you're not going to remove your necks, okay? All right, so it says, turning away, he have divided our fields, man, and that's what these heathen are saying. You know, prospering in that which is not yours. How long? And they're angry and they're mad, you know, because of the grip that you have on the planet Earth, man. Okay, so this time is evil. You're not going to remove your neck from being, you know, outed and judged by the Most High himself. Okay, we ourselves are not going to go out and try to exude any judgment. We're just watching your judgment. All right, we're watching the curses turn on you. We're watching prophecy be fulfilled right before our eyes, man. Okay, let's get Ezekiel 36. Ezekiel 36, and I'll start at 2. It says, thus saith the Lord God, because the enemy have said, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. All right, and when you jump to verse 5, for time's sake, it says, therefore thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land unto their possession, with the joy of all their heart, and with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. And here you go. Here you go. And the scriptures tell you that Jerusalem will be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And we can go to Daniel the 7th chapter to show you the time of the Gentiles, man, and how it will be ended. It will be ended through that fourth beast. All right, the Roman Empire, and the revival of it through America, the NATO, and the EU. This is the fatness of the earth being given into the hands of Esau via his blessing given to him by Isaac, man. Okay, and we're about to get that land back Okay. Isaiah 63:17. O Yahawah, why hast thou made us to err from thy ways, and have hardened our heart from thy fear? Return for thy servant's sake the tribes of thine inheritance. The people of thy holiness have possessed it but a little. All right. Our adversaries have trodden down thy sanctuary, and the sanctuary is Jerusalem. All right. The Holy Land. All right. We are thine. Thou never bearest rule over them. They were not called by thy name. They are not the ones who came through Shem. Okay. In which that name was placed upon, man. That name was placed upon the Israelites. Okay. The seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. Okay. Going all the way back to Adam. All right. Through, of course, Abel, then, but you had Seth. All right. And the chosen line would eventually return. All right. And come down through that. Now, Cain's family line was on the planet Earth back then, and they're known as the wicked one. There are particular nations whom the Lord set up to do wickedness and judge them for it. But as you can see, the true people of the Lord have only possessed that land but a little time, while the heathen have trodden down the sanctuary, man. And this is a pure example. You have the Palestinians and the Israelis, the so-called Jew, which are Edomites, fighting over that land, and none of them are it's none of theirs rightfully. All right, but this had to play itself out for prophecy's sake. Okay, it says Israel must invent dangers, and to do this, it must adapt the strategy of provocation and revenge. There you go. They invent dangers. They make up particular terrorists and boogeymen year after year after year after year, and then use it as a means to go and bomb those people. All right, this is one of the Edomites. It says, we will expel the Arabs and take their place. In each attack, a decisive blow should be struck, resulting in the destruction of homes and the expulsion of the population. This is a so-called Jew. Okay, in a letter to his son. All right, David Ben Gurion. Okay, Prime Minister of Israel from 1949 to 54, 55 to 63. Okay, is this terrorist? Is this a terrorist? I guess not, right? And you can read down. For anti-racist Jews, indeed all anti-racist humanitarians, the core, yada, yada, yada. And you can read the article for yourself. And, since we're playing the blame game, well, and if this, isn't an accurate number, well, I'm pretty sure it's close. We know it's in the millions, because how did you get all of this land? How did you, what was this the result of? Did they peacefully move out of that land for you to just take over? Okay, look how much green was there before 1948, and then look at it after 1948. Okay, it was all taken over, man. So the true terrorists are you Edomites, and it remains you Edomites. But we can see that you're going to take this approach, anti-Semitic, and you click on that, and those videos are all over the place, man. And you're seeing a call for this because we're at the very end of Esau's world, in which the Amalekites are the top of the quality of the so-called white race. When you look up the whole high IQ, low IQ thing, the so-called Jew is at the height of it, and that was used, all right, to force racist pseudoscience and ideas all throughout the world. But I just wanted to bring that out. You have to ask, well, are these Jews? And if they aren't, what nation biblically are they? Since we know these are the Jews, well, who are these? Shalom.
Here's more proof that the Edomites know that this place is falling. When you read articles like this, Mormon Church hiding $100 billion from the IRS as contingency plan for end of days whistleblower claims. So anyhow, yeah, man, they always find ways of smuggling, and the Catholic Church controls all the churches, the so-called 501c3 churches, so that this is just nothing more than a Ponzi scheme. Of course it is. The Mormon Church has $100 billion socked away in a secret cash stash for the second coming. Its former money manager has told the IRS he claims that the massive nest egg, unknown even to rank-and-file Mormons, is illegal. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as it is officially called, is sitting on an eye-popping sum of money that was donated from the expectation it would be used for charitable works. David Nielsen claimed in a whistleblower complaint to the IRS last month. So, there's where the donations go, these phony donations that they say that they need. Of course, they're embezzling it, and they don't have to report on it. So Esau knows he's finished. He knows that the end of days is coming, and he knows yahawashi, Hamashiach is coming, but they, telling their people one thing, and then it just happens to be another. Nielsen accuses the church of violating tax law, which exempts churches from responsibly paying taxes so long they use untaxed money exclusively for religious, educational, or other charitable purposes, hoarding billions of dollars against the end of days. Nielsen's complaint reportedly claims Ensign's peak president said the fund would be used in the event of the second coming of Hamashiach, which they call him Jesus Christ, of course, but you know as well as I do that there ain't no sweet Jesus coming from them. Now it's yahawashi Hamashiach, but he's coming to destroy the wicked, He's coming to destroy the wicked of our people, the 2/3, because they're not right and they have to be purged. It's the only way that this kingdom can be built. And this, as it happened then, it's happening now. Micah chapter 3. And I said, Hear I pray you, O heads of Jacob, and you princes of the house of Yashalah. It is not known for you to know judgment. There was a time when we were not being judged, but however, though, now we're in that time of judgment. Who hate the good and love the evil. Do we not see that amongst our people? They still want to, keep on being wicked, And this devil keeps on popping up with that shit. Who hates the good and love the evil, who pluck off their skin from off them, and their flesh from off their bones, who also eat the flesh of my people, and flay their skin from off them, and they break their bones and chop them in pieces, as for the pot and as flesh within the children. They shall cry unto the Most High, but he will not hear them. He will even hide his face from them at that time, as they have behaved themselves ill in their doings, And, of course, we've been in the latter end of this, where they're calling all the other names but the true name because, of course, it's been hidden from them as to what his real name is, and they're still trying to call him those old pagan names, which is not even who he is. Thus saith the Most High concerning the prophets that make my people err. This is talking about the false prophets out there, that, are teaching heresy, that bite with their teeth and cry, peace, and he that putteth not their mouths, they even prepare war against him. And that's just it. 2/3 of our people are being led astray by these false teachers. Therefore night shall be unto you, that you shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you, that you shall not divine, and the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. Then shall the seers be ashamed, and the diviners confounded. Yea, they shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer of Yahawah. But truly I am full of power by the Spirit of the Most High, and of judgment, and of might, to declare unto Jacob his transgression, and to Yashalah his sins. And that's just it, though, is, we see that now. That's why 2/3 of our people ain't going to get this, because they fell upon this. Hear this, I pray you, you heads of the house of Jacob, and the princes of the house of Yashalah, that abhor judgment and pervert all equity. They build up Zion with blood, and Jerusalem with iniquity. The heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and their prophets thereof divine for money. Yet they shall lean upon the Most High, and say, Is not the Most High among us? None evil can come upon us. That's why you got now all these false religions out there, which our people are listening to, you know. Just all the dividends of Christianity, Mormonism, Catholicism, which is all Catholicism anyways. But, you know, they're cleaving onto that because, of course, you know, for the transgressions that were already there before. You see, our people love idolatry. They love vain words, and and it's no wonder why we're in the shape that we're in today. But the elect of us are coming out of this, you know, and, you know, the only thing left for the two-thirds now is to receive that final judgment of the second death, and we're done with this thing. So I hope all this has been edifying. Like everything else, though, we're just going to keep on seeing more and more accusations come against us. You know they're not true, but Esau's going to do everything he can to try to turn the lies into truth, even though he's a liar. And so is his media. Just look at all the shit that he's done in the news for all these wars that he's faked. The fake news never stops. So now he's using it against us. For that I want to say, barak atha yahawah, barak atha yahawashi, bahasham quadash, wa ba ba ba. Barak atham to hope the elect. Shalom.